welcome to the Kemetic How-To Guide for Egyptian Pagan and Kemetic practitioners. I'm your host, Sharon. Today we are going to explore the historical figure of Antinous. Who was he? As an Egyptian pagan, why should you care? And why am I choosing to talk about him on the month of Valentine's Day? Let's explore. Most of the real details about Antinous' early life are lost. We don't know. We think that he was born around the year 111 AD, and his birthday is recorded as November 27th. We do know that he was born to a Greek family of modest means in a town called Claudiopolis. The region was called Bithynia. The town is now called Bolu in northern Turkey on the Black Sea coast. Fun fact, the region is known for growing hazelnuts. In 123 AD, Roman Emperor Hadrian was touring his empire along with his wife, Vibia Sabina. Vibia Sabina did get a lot of public honors, and she was eventually given the title Augusta, but they had a loveless marriage. They had no children, which meant they probably were not having sex either. Hadrian was much more interested in sex with young men. Today we would say, oh well, he's gay, but they didn't have that concept back then. At that point in time in the ancient world, a man could sleep with other men and he wasn't considered not masculine as long as he was the dominant partner. Eventually, Hadrian and his entourage get to Claudiopolis, and there, Hadrian spots this lovely youth named Antinous. At the time, Antinous was about 12 or 13 years old. Hadrian was 47. It's thought that Hadrian then had Antinous sent to an imperial school in Rome, where he could receive a formal education, and he would also be groomed to be Hadrian's personal companion. In ancient Greece and Rome, a lot like in feudal Japan, it was perfectly acceptable for an older adult male to take a sexual partner who was a younger male or even an adolescent. Today, if 47-year-old Hadrian started hitting on 13-year-old Antinous, hopefully his parents would call the cops. But in the Roman Empire, that was okay, and his parents probably were thinking, hey, the kid's got a once-in-a-lifetime shot at the best education in the empire. That's going to make us look really good. It's going to make our town look really good. All you got to do is just naked things with an older man. No pressure, kid. But despite that questionable beginning, apparently Hadrian and Antinous hit it off, and soon young Antinous was traveling everywhere with Hadrian, all across the empire. Now, none of Hadrian's writings about his male lovers survive. We know he did write about his lovers. We know that he wrote erotic poetry about them, and he wrote biographies of each of his lovers, because Antinous was not the only one. But we do know that he considered Antinous an intelligent companion and was very much a confidant to him. They both went on hunting expeditions. Nothing says male bonding like a hunting trip. And when Hadrian was initiated into the Eleusinian mysteries, Antinous probably was too. It's a pretty safe bet that where one of them went, the other was sure to follow. Things seemed to be going well for the two when they sailed down the Nile in October of 130 AD. They were in the region of Kemetic, known by its Greek name Hermopolis Magna. But somewhere around there, Antinous fell into the Nile and drowned. Speculation about his sudden and mysterious death ran wild. Was it murder? Did he have a jealous rival? Was it a drunken accident? Suicide? Or even a form of sacrifice? But we will never know. To this day, we still do not know exactly what happened to him. The grieving Emperor Hadrian ordered a new Hellenistic-style town to be built at the site of Antinous' death, and he did it by completely razing to the ground the existing Egyptian city of Hirwa, and he called his new town Antinopolis. He also had Antinous posthumously deified as Osiris Antinous. This probably drew on the native tradition of identifying with Osiris those who had been drowned. Osiris was thought to personally claim anyone who had drowned. Antinous' death also occurred close to the time of the annual Koyak mysteries, honoring Osiris, which would have strengthened the connection. Now, it's quite possible that Hadrian had some political motives, because he was trying to promote a culture of Pan-Hellenism. Conveniently enough, his dead Greek lover made a great mascot. But the cult of Antinous did find adherents from across the empire, particularly in Egypt and in other parts of the Mediterranean. We have found evidence of private worship. There were children who were named after him. And in one especially touching inscription, a grieving father asks Theos Antinous to take care of his deceased son. Sculptures of Antinous were commissioned by Hadrian. Lots of sculptures were commissioned by Hadrian. So many that today, the only two figures from ancient Rome that we have more statues of are Emperor Augustus and Hadrian himself. It's striking that we have so many sculptures surviving of Antinous because his cult was deliberately targeted by the early Christians as a symbol of pagan immorality. And that same animosity, especially towards homosexuality, probably contributed to Antinous' rediscovery, and you could say reinvention, as a gay icon starting in the 18th and 19th centuries. And today, modern pagans of many stripes, but especially LGBTQ pagans, look to Antinous as a personal guide and a protector, often in an eclectic blend of Egyptian and Greco-Roman elements. In the year 2000 AD, the Los Angeles-based Ecclesia Antinoi was established, and there's a related group called Neos Antinoi, also based in California. And both of them offer a trove of information online about the modern practice and worship of Antinous. From Greek youth to tragic lover to venerated demigod to modern patron of LGBTQ pagans. Between all of these roles, where is the real Antinous? Behind the handsome marble face and Egyptian headdress, the true heart of Antinous remains a mystery beckoning to be sought. Perhaps that is the greatest source of his enduring appeal. Of course, if your Kemetic practice is classical or strictly pharaonic, then it's not likely that the cult of Antinous is going to be very relevant to you. But online especially, you're likely to run into more eclectic pagans, Egyptian pagans, that do honor Antinous, and it helps to know who he is. I first learned about his modern worship when I was asked by someone on Etsy to make a rosary for Antinous, and I've made a few of them. This one actually is on reserve for somebody right now. And then someone asked me to make a plaque of Antinous using some artwork that someone else made and has been circulating around the internet. So I've kind of, he keeps turning up, and so I said, well, maybe I need to learn a little bit more about who this is. And you might find yourself in a similar situation, where you know someone who honors Antinous, and it helps to know who he is. Personally, when I look at the historical figure of Antinous, I can't help but feel a little sorry for him. Not just because he died young, but also because it doesn't seem to me that he had a whole lot of choice in hooking up with Emperor Hadrian. After all, this is the Roman emperor. Yes, they had laws at that time that govern what we would consider consent today, but still, there's a difference then, as now, between what the law says and what people are willing to enforce. Remember, he's the Roman emperor. And even if Antinous had said, oh, I don't know, Mom and Dad, he's kind of old and creepy, his parents probably would have said something about, oh, honey, he's loaded. The money makes the sex better. Don't worry. And think about it. How many young girls throughout the history of civilization have been told something similar to that as they were about to be wedded in an arranged marriage? Close your eyes and think of Bithynia. But just like untold millions of brides in arranged marriages that had a parallel situation, again, from my perspective, somehow Antinous obviously made it work. And now the Roman Empire is no more, but people still know who he is. We're still talking about him on YouTube today. In life, he may have had to deal with a lot of things that were totally beyond his control, but he had enough agency somewhere that he's still a topic of conversation and something relevant, especially to modern pagans and modern LGBTQ pagans today. Which means, he had some agency somewhere. And even I have to offer him some hazelnut confections for that. Hopefully this gives you some more perspective as you pursue your pagan practice and interact with other pagans online. Be sure to subscribe so that you can catch more videos, and join us on Patreon so you can see exclusive behind the scenes on how we put these videos together. And of course you can also join us for our live services on Friday evenings around 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and you're welcome to join us. So for the Kemetic How-To Guide, this is Sharon wishing you Senipti. Enjoyed this video? Then be sure to hit like and subscribe to the Kemetic Independent channel. You can also buy my books on Lulu.com, and special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. Join us for updates, outtakes, and exclusive videos only on Patreon. Check the description for links.